we are introduced to a tight-fisted farmer named Ollie. He is the only one that has a working water irrigation system and can provide running water to the town. Hence, Jim and Ollie have made a pact to trade propane and water with the people. However, Ollie betrays him and claims that the entire propane storage is his. When Jim goes to the storage, a man with a gun stops him, declaring the property belongs to Ollie. Jim walks away for the time being, but he is not someone who gives up easily. Somewhere else, Joe and Nori are trying to make a connection with the dome again. Joe proposes a theory that the dome is like an atom. The border is the electron, which means the primary particle nucleus must be in the middle. The duo set off to look for it and reach a field after walking for a while. They also have a dog that helps them navigate. When they reach nearer to the center of the dome, something scares the dog and it runs away, but the other two continue the search. In the meantime, Julia is bringing Harriet to the hospital. Suddenly, their car is stopped by the thugs who killed Rose yesterday. While Harriet cries of pain in the back seat, they try to rob them of fuel. Barbie arrives at the right time and stops them, but the thugs manage to run away. After that, they bring Harriet to Joe's house where Alice is staying. Since she is the only doctor in the town, they believe going to her will be better than going to the hospital. Alice and Carolyn quickly put the pregnant woman in a comfortable position and start helping her. They have no medical tools or medicines to make it easier for Harriet, which means they solely have to rely on Alice's expertise. Then we see Joe and Nori reach the center of the dome. They discover a smaller dome that holds a black egg inside. When they touch the dome, Alice appears in front of them and disappears right after they move their hands. Nori feels like her mother is in trouble and rushes back home. Somewhere else, Ollie visits Jim in his office and reveals his true intentions. People always thought he was inferior to Jim, so he wants to prove them wrong now that he is the main source of their resources. The two thugs from earlier are in their hideout when Linda and Junior arrive and try to arrest them. But when they retaliate, Linda has to reluctantly shoot one dead. While the other begs for his life, Junior happily kills him. Meanwhile, at the house, the delivery goes well and Harriet gives birth to a girl. She names her after Alice because without her, the delivery wouldn't have been possible. But then, Alice gets a heart attack and has to be put to bed. When it gets dark, the security guard at the propane storage is loading his truck. Jim takes aim at him with his gun and shoots, causing the car to explode and kill the guard in the process. Nori returns home to see her mother in the worst condition she has ever been. Joe also meets his sister after a week and is thankful that she is okay. Alice tells her family that this was nobody's fault and passes away. Joe can do nothing but watch Nori beg the dome to bring her mother back. The next morning, Barbie digs a grave for Alice and waits for the family to be ready to let go of the dead body. Angie goes to the diner wanting to keep running it after Rose's death. Since the owner of the place is Jim, it is easy for her to ask him to sell it to her. After that, Jim goes to Ollie to make amends because the town is in a food shortage and they need his help. However, Ollie is ready to starve everyone to get back at him. Jim registers they can only make Ollie help by force. Hence, he gathers Linda and Barbie and tells them of the law that says the government has the right to confiscate property at the time of crisis. He wants to use it in their favor and take over Ollie's farm. He knows that there will be retaliation from the other side, which is why he needs the help of armed police. They go to the farm but are outnumbered by armed men. Officer Carter is shot in his leg as a warning. Right then, Junior walks towards the enemy's side, showing his alliance to them to get back at his father. The others have to embarrassingly return to the police station. At home, Joe tells Julia about the egg inside the smaller dome, thinking that they need the elders' help to figure out what it exactly is. Julia wants to see it for herself, so they make their way to the jungle. This time, they reach the egg when it is glowing pink. Julia tries to touch it, but the dome protects it. When she carefully touches the dome, she gets a vision of Joe standing in front of her and saying, "The monarch will be crowned." As soon as she takes her hands off, the vision ends, leaving her shocked. They immediately return home after that, planning to investigate the egg tomorrow. Somewhere else, Jim wants to gather up people and attack Ollie's group to finally get the water supply back. But Barbie doesn't like the idea of fighting with their own people and suggests they divert the flow of water from Ollie's farm to another part of the town. It is also risky because the entire source of water might be destroyed, but the plan is better than starting a battle. Jim, however, doesn't agree and orders them to gear up. Linda and Barbie secretly join hands to go forward with a water diversion plan behind Jim's back. At Ollie's home, he tries to pin Junior against his father. He also reveals that the death of his mother was not just a mere accident, but she deliberately crashed her car. Junior is enraged at his father for hiding something so important from him. He assumes that Jim thought he wasn't worthy enough to know. A while later, Barbie breaks into Ollie's place to create an explosion that will divert the water flow. But before he can, Jim brings his men to attack Ollie and his people. A shootout ensues outside which distracts everyone and gives Barbie an opportunity to place the explosive. It goes off a while later and the plan works efficiently. In the heat of the moment, Junior approaches his father and knocks him out with a hit to his forehead. All of Ollie's men leave now that they cannot get water in return for their service. Ollie hands Junior a rifle and urges him to kill his father. Junior asks Jim why he hid the cause of his mother's death and finds out Jim didn't want to hurt him. No matter their differences, he genuinely loves his son, which is why Junior cannot get himself to kill him as well. As Ollie tries to do the job, Junior shoots him dead, helping Jim. Sometime later, Jim is in his office with Barbie, who is not happy about the 5 deaths that were caused in the shootout. He has realized that Jim only thinks of the people to keep himself in power. The next morning, Julia brings Barbie to the woods to show him the egg from yesterday. But to her surprise, the egg, alongside the dome, is missing. Barbie gets a call from Linda, who urgently needs him somewhere. It turns out a man named Ted accidentally shot a bypasser while firing at a trespasser on his property. The trespasser is a junkie who has gone insane after not getting a fix for weeks. He claims that he used to buy pills called the Rapture from Lester. Barbie and Linda are shocked that a mortician was selling illegal medicine to the teens. They go to his house and find the supplies he used to make the Rupture. The most interesting part about it is that propane is the main ingredient in it. Considering the fact that the town somehow has a large supply of propane, Barbie and Linda start suspecting Jim. At the same time, Junior goes to the diner to meet Angie. She asks him to go away, but he insists that he is not there to harm her. He still believes the dome is making her sick somehow, which Angie thinks is a bluff. But right then, she gets a seizure like her brother and Nori. While struggling, she also says the pink stars are falling. Then we are introduced to a wealthy businesswoman, Max. She is the main dealer who supplied propane to the town so Jim's people could create the Rupture and distribute it for money. She came to meet him on the day the dome appeared and has been living in an abandoned house ever since then. She has come out at the right time and wants to take advantage of Chester's Mills crisis for her own profit. Junior, on the other hand, is driving Angie to her home. She is panicking in the back of his car, scared that she will be held captive again, which is why she is surprised when he actually leaves her home. He also claims that he always knew she was going to be sick because of the dome, as she did today. Inside the house, Julia and the kids are talking about the eggs' disappearance. Angie walks in and tells them about the seizure. The group realizes the seizures are definitely not a coincidence, and the 3 of them have been chosen for a specific task related to the dome. Nori notices that Angie has a butterfly tattoo on her back that resembles the butterflies that were attracted to the dome. However, the others do not think much of it. To keep the town safer, Jim wants to seize everyone's guns, but knows people will retaliate if they are forced. Hence, instead, he announces that they are organizing a gun turning-in program. No one will be forced to give up their firearms, but the ones who do will get extra food and water. Nori and Joe are desperate to look for the egg again. Hence, they take their dog and go on a search, relying on his abilities. Angie goes to meet Junior in the police station. She thinks he might know something about the dome since he always insisted that the dome is making her sick. Junior brings her to his house to show her something. It turns out his mother was a painter before her death. One night, he had a very vivid dream which she drew on a canvas. In her dream, Junior is standing on a hill and pink stars are falling from the sky. Junior doesn't know what made him think Angie is sick, but his instinct told him so. In the diner, people gather to give up their firearms except for Ted, the guy who shot the passerby earlier. Barbie and Jim go to his house where Jim finds him seconds away from doing the unthinkable. Ted lost his wife in an accident when the dome first appeared and doesn't want to live anymore. Jim convinces him otherwise and sends him to the hospital. In the meantime, Linda comes to the propane storage space to investigate who is importing them in. She goes through the CCTV footage and sees the former sheriff and Max making a deal. It is evident they had to do something with the import, but Linda doesn't want to believe the sheriff was a bad person. After that, Max meets Barbie and kisses him. Barbie reveals that she is his boss who he doesn't enjoy working with. Max has dirt on Barbie and Jim, which gives her power over both of them. To keep their secrets from coming out, they will have to agree to whatever she says. When she and Barbie are alone, Max calls him out for killing Peter. He had called her frantically that morning, and now that Peter is missing, she puts two and two together. She threatens to tell Julia about her husband's death if he tries to double-cross her. After an entire day of searching, Nori and Joe do not find the egg, but they return home at night to see it is in the shed. Angie says that Joe brought the egg home last night, but he doesn't remember a thing. They slowly touch the dome and their hands act as a key to opening it. However, they need a fourth hand to complete the lock. It is now the 9th day since the dome's appearance. Joe, Nori, and Angie sleep in the barn to protect the smaller dome and the black egg. When they wake up the next morning, a caterpillar has magically appeared inside of it. They think the caterpillar will turn into a monarch butterfly, which all relates to the monarch that the dome told them about. They touch the dome again and see the fourth handprint on it. They assume it is someone who has gotten seizures like them. When the group is not around, Dodie comes to the barn and touches the dome. It electrocutes her, refusing to take her hand as the fourth print. The others find her unconscious and quickly bring her to the hospital. When she gains consciousness, she doesn't remember touching the dome and thinks she got zapped by the generator. Angie and the group do not correct her to keep the dome safe and hidden. Angie asks the town's nurse if someone has come to the hospital with seizures in the past couple of days. The nurse jokingly reminds her that Junior had a seizure in high school. This makes Angie realize that Junior is the next chosen one, not just because of the seizures, but because of his mother's painting. Somewhere else, Barbie goes to Jim to talk about Max. Since she is trouble for both of them, they join hands to take her down. Jim starts by finding out where she has been living for the past week. While they're at the town's clerk investigating, Max arrives. She orders Jim to get her alcohol and shampoo, taking advantage of the secrets she knows about him. Jim has no way but to oblige. Then we see Julia go to the police station to meet Barbie, but she bumps into Linda instead. Linda has been looking around the late sheriff's office to find out more about the propane import. She finds a key in his hat that opens a safe deposit in the town's bank. The girls set off to find out the entire truth about the propane import. Meanwhile, Junior finds a thief who has just stolen salt from the convenience store. The scared guy reveals that he is taking it to trade in the cement factory. It turns out Max has used her connections to create a barter fight club inside the factory. She is using people's desperation to profit for herself. She brings Barbie to the factory and shows him around, revealing that he is the main show of the day. Barbie doesn't want to give in to her plot, but she threatens to tell Julia about her husband's death if he doesn't. In the end, he is made to fight a man who just lost his family to the dome. Most people bet on Barbie, but Max knows he will deliberately lose to spite her. He does as expected, which wins her a lot of supplies. After the fight, Barbie has had enough of Max's blackmail. He believes telling Julia the truth is better than being a pawn. Max doesn't handle the rejection very well because she is also romantically interested in Barbie. While Max is distracted, Jim finds out about a property she owns on the outskirts of the town. He takes a boat to reach the house that is very well kept. The caretaker is a kind woman named Agatha who claims that the house belongs to a man named Oliver. She even offers Jim tea while he waits for Oliver to return home. When Jim is alone, he searches around the house and sees a picture of Agatha and Max together. Suddenly, the woman points a gun at him and reveals that she is Max's mother. She used to be a resident of Chester's Mill until she got pregnant at 16 and was ridiculed by everyone in the town. She had to move to the outskirts and start a new life, which turned out good because Max became extremely successful. Still, she hates the people of the town for what they did to the teenager that she once used to be. Jim notices the way she is holding the gun and figures out she hasn't killed anyone in her life. He confidently walks towards her and gets a hold of the rifle himself. Then he ties her hand and puts her on the boat. As they make their way towards the other side of the town, Agatha accidentally falls into the water. Jim thinks of helping her but decides otherwise. She eventually drowns and dies. Meanwhile, Linda and Julia reach the bank, which is filled with money that has no meaning to the people at this point. They find a letter inside the sheriff's deposit. In it, he reveals that his son died of an OD, which is why he made it his mission to always save Chester's Mill from dealers. For that, he, the mortician, and Jim made the deal with the biggest illegal substance dealer in the state, Max. They provided her with the propane she needed to make the pills, and in turn, she promised to never sell a single batch to the people of Chester's Mill. In the end, the sheriff did everything for the town, even though it was illegal. Julia also opens up her husband's deposit, which shows that he has gotten himself insurance right before his disappearance. This would mean he was wanting to die so she could pay off his debts. She says she needs to talk to Barbie and rushes home. Somewhere else, Angie tells her brother and Nori about Junior's mother's painting. She doesn't think pink stars falling from the sky is just a coincidence. As they talk, Junior arrives and feels betrayed by Angie, who brought strangers to his personal space. Joe attacks him, having found out about his sister's abduction. Angie stops both of them because they need each other to find out what exactly the dome wants. They convince Junior to come to the barn and test if he is the fourth hand that the dome requires. When it gets dark, Linda goes to Jim's house to ask him about his involvement in the propane business. He promises to tell her everything the next morning because he has had a long day. Barbie returns home to Julia waiting for him. She reveals that she knows Barbie killed her husband. Peter's missing handgun and the insurance papers clearly indicate he wanted Barbie to kill him so the debts would be paid. She doesn't blame Barbie and isn't mad at him because what he did was for self-defense. She has seen him put his life in danger for complete strangers and knows that he is not a bad person. Still, she asks him to stay away from her for a few days. Barbie appreciates the understanding and feels a lot lighter now that she knows the truth. Meanwhile, Angie and the group reach the barn to see the caterpillar has cocooned. They touch the dome all at once, which makes the egg glow pink. Several stars form a constellation and fly around the barn, revealing that all 4 of the chosen ones have gathered. They stay in the barn until the next morning, looking at the constellations which are now drawn on the ceiling. There are 4 random dots apart from the constellation that resembles the 4 chosen ones. Still, the dome doesn't reveal the reason for its existence. Joe suggests they take Julia's help because she was the one who was told about the monarch. The others agree and send him to fetch her. When Angie and Junior are alone, he tries getting close to her again. Now that they are working together, he thinks Angie has forgiven him for keeping her captive. Angie makes it clear that nothing he does will make her forgive him. In a fit of rage, Junior refuses to be a part of the group and walks away. Right then, a massive storm forms in the sky that causes several destructions throughout the town. At the police station, Linda meets Jim and asks him about the propane. He finally comes clean and tells her about his involvement in the smuggling. Linda knows the right thing to do would be to arrest him, but not in a situation like this. She understands they did it for the town and decides to let it go until the crisis is over. At Julia's house, someone knocks on the door. When she goes to open it, Max from the other side shoots her and runs away. It is her way of punishing Barbie for not obeying her. Barbie quickly comes downstairs and helps Julia. Right then, Joe comes to Julia's to see Barbie trying to keep her alive. He quickly gets them in a car and drives them to the hospital. Although on the way, they are interrupted because of the heavy storm. They make it to the hospital on time. Since the nurse is busy, Barbie has to take care of Julia himself. The thunderstorm causes the blocked radio signals to come through again. Dodie immediately tracks a frequency and hears the soldiers talking from outside. They confirm that Barbie is inside the dome and claim that he is the one they have been looking for. Dodie understands Barbie is not just an ordinary man. Junior is home alone when Angie bangs on his doors. She begs him to come back to the barn to help them. By now, the storm has turned into a spiral of clouds in the sky. As it grows stranger, Angie relates it to Junior's rejection. She thinks if he agrees to join the group again, it will stop. The two make their way to the barn, which instantly stops the storm as Angie had predicted. At the same time, Barbie saves Julia's life even though she had already lost her heartbeat. A shocked Joe connects the dots and comes to a conclusion that Barbie is the monarch that the dome told them about. He runs back to the barn to tell the others about it. Then we see Max returning home when she discovers her mother's dead body by the waters. She cries mourning her death, but it is soon taken over by anger. She knows Jim is the one who killed her and makes it her mission to end his life. Barbie meets Jim outside the hospital. He is nervous about what Max might do after finding out about her mother's death. Hence, they decide to go to the cement factory and end her life once and for all. On reaching the place, Barbie does something to the generator as a backup plan. Then they go inside but see no one around. Suddenly, Max and her minion point their guns at the two and hold them hostage. Max is upset about her mother's death and will not spare either of them, but she makes the mistake of not killing them instantly. The generator suddenly stops working and the other two take over the guns. They bring Max outside and Barbie leaves Jim to do whatever he wants with them. As he is walking away, Jim shoots Max and the guy dead. Barbie is in shock and doesn't support Jim's decision. Jim in turn points the gun at him. When Linda arrives at the location, it seems like Barbie killed the others and is trying to kill Jim too. She tries to arrest him, but Barbie smacks her in the face and runs away. After that, Jim goes to the radio tower and is told about the message that Dodie heard from the military. He declares Barbie a criminal and accuses him of killing Peter, Max, her assistant, and Agatha. He is also accused of trying to murder Julia when the truth is far from it. The people of Chester's Mill are asked to report to the police as soon as they see him. Then we see the four chosen ones at the border of the dome. They touch the wall together and get the same vision. Jim is standing on the other side of the dome watching them. Suddenly, he starts bleeding from different parts of his body as if he was stabbed. When the four look down at their hands, they see bloodied knives. The vision troubles Junior the most, and he runs to see his father. When he is not around, Angie tells the others that the dome wants them to kill Jim. Somewhere else, Julia is still in a coma but out of danger. She is said to come back to consciousness in a few days. Meanwhile, in the radio station, Dodie listens to the soldiers from outside. They talk about Barbie and how he should be contacted as soon as possible. They also seem to know something about the black egg, but do not talk much about it. Still, the term triggers something in Dodie's mind, and she remembers she was electrocuted by the egg and a mini dome over it. She also goes through her phone's camera roll, which has a picture of the egg she took before falling unconscious. She quickly goes to Jim to tell him about it, unaware that he is the real villain. In the barn, Angie, Joe, and Nori are taking care of the egg in the dome. They try to make sense of the vision of Jim's death they saw earlier. Angie thinks they should kill him as soon as possible, but since Junior is also on their team, they cannot risk losing him. For now, they decide to wait for the butterfly inside the dome to come out of its cocoon. Suddenly, Carolyn barges in and sees the glowing egg. Nori explains everything to her and begs her to not tell the authorities. She agrees to help them, knowing that Jim isn't someone who can be trusted. Junior goes to his father and hugs him, thankful that he is safe. After seeing the vision of Jim's death, he is even more protective of him. Jim orders him to be a guard for Julia so Barbie won't try to harm her again. He also emphasizes that he must be informed if she gains consciousness. He wants to make sure she won't tell the people that Barbie isn't the one who tried to kill her. After that, Dodie comes to Jim to tell him what she heard on the radio. They go to the radio station and listen to the recording once again. Jim also finds out about the egg and that it is inside Joe's barn. But then they hear the soldiers talking about how Jim killed the pastor after the nuclear attack. Dodie hears this and is shocked. She fearfully asks him how many people he has killed. Knowing that his secret is out, Jim confesses to all his crimes. Right after, he kills Dodie and sets the station on fire. Linda finds out about this, and so does Dodie's best friend Phil. They assume it was Barbie who killed her since Dodie's broadcast was encouraging people to look for him. In the meantime, Barbie finds Angie and tells her that Julia's life is in danger. Jim has tied up all the loose ends, except when Julia wakes up, his lie will be out. Hence, Barbie has to protect her before Jim gets to her. Angie agrees to help him and takes him inside the hospital through the back door. She also brings Junior aside to distract him, while Barbie brings an unconscious Julia to the ambulance. Junior finds out and calls Linda immediately. Barbie makes Angie drive the ambulance away, while he distracts the police since they are after him. The plan works and Angie is able to take Julia away. She also manages to get a police radio, so she would be informed about where the police are looking for them. Linda confronts Barbie and Phil knocks him down, getting him arrested. Somewhere else, Nori and Joe bring the egg to Ben's house, which is already being checked by the search party. They don't want to keep it in the barn and risk Jim finding it. Ben agrees to help and keeps the egg in his room. While they are at it, Jim and his men come to the barn to look for the egg, but are stopped by Carolyn. She tries to argue that they cannot search someone's home in the absence of the owner, but Jim is not someone who backs down. He makes his men hold her back. Joe and Nori arrive and try to fight them, but are also held back by Jim's helpers. However, when he opens the barn, he is surprised that it is empty. He asks the kids where the egg is, but they pretend to not know what he is talking about. As a result, they are arrested and thrown in jail. Jim plans to threaten them to find out the location of the egg. He doesn't want the egg to bring the dome down before he kills everyone who might testify against him in the future, like Julia and Barbie. In the cells, Joe and Nori think of an escape plan. Jim arrives and again threatens them to reveal where the egg is. Nori instead calls him a coward, which urges him to get inside her cell. She attacks him with a knife, but the man dodges it in an instant. He gives them a last chance to redeem themselves before storming off. Linda brings Barbie and locks him up with his hands chained. A scared Jim asks her if Julia was conscious when she was last spotted, but Linda has no clue. At Ben's house, the egg starts making screeching noises that make his head hurt. He covers it with several layers of clothing and hopes that Joe returns soon. In the following scene, Jim approaches Barbie and asks him to confess to the murder charges. He threatens Barbie with Joe, Nori, and Julia's lives, making him reluctantly agree to do whatever he says. As a result, Joe and Nori are let free. Jim makes Linda follow them, knowing that the kids will go to the mini-dome directly. After that, Junior meets his father and asks him if he is hiding something. He thinks that the fact Jim wants to be the first one to talk to Julia is strange. Jim lies and claims that Barbie has confessed to the murders. This confirms that he just wants Julia's safety and makes Julia trust him again. Somewhere else, Julia wakes up and reveals that she was shot by Max. On finding out that Jim is accusing Barbie forcefully, she has to tell people the truth. Joe, Nori, and Carolyn get to Ben's house and hear the noise he has been complaining about. They notice that the egg is glowing and making movements. Linda also sees the egg having followed the kid. Carolyn tries to make her understand that they are doing the right thing, but Linda refuses to believe them. Suddenly, the butterfly comes out but is weak since it is trapped. The group has to find a way to get it out, but they do not know how to do so. Outside the police station, a crowd of people has gathered to witness Barbie confessing to all the murders. However, on being asked, he pleads not guilty. Jim furiously drags him inside and asks him to play by the rules. Back at Ben's, the dome starts turning black and the butterfly falls unconscious. Simultaneously, the bigger dome also turns black, causing Chester's Mill to experience nighttime in broad daylight. Outside, everyone starts to panic and pray. Linda still refuses to trust the kids and touches the mini-dome, which causes her to be thrown to the wall. This gives the others an opportunity to run away with the egg. Julia arrives at the right time and helps them. Meanwhile, Julia goes to an unguarded police station and frees Barbie. Phil tries to stop them, but Barbie manages to knock him out even with his hands tied. On their way outside, Joe contacts them on the police radio and asks them to come to a secret place that Angie knows about. Jim and Linda are at Ben's home. They also hear the message from Joe but do not know what the secret place is. A while later, the four chosen ones, Barbie and Julia, meet at the cement factory. Junior tries to attack Barbie, but is stopped because they need him if he is actually the monarch the dome told them about. Julia tells Junior that Barbie didn't shoot her. Everyone tries to tell him the truth about his father, but he is too blinded by his love to believe them. After the discussion, the chosen four touch the dome and cause it to turn into dust. The butterfly seems to be dead at first, but then it starts flying around Barbie. The group thinks this means he is the monarch. However, right after, the ground starts to shake. Something tells Julia to pick up the egg, and she does so. Because of this, the shaking stops. This time, the butterfly sits on the egg, declaring Julia the monarch. Somewhere else, Jim plans to execute Barbie in front of the entire town to assert his dominance and to showcase the false sense of justice to the people. Using Phil's help, he wants people to make gallows for the occasion. To look for Joe and the others, Linda goes to their house and ends up in their barn. She sees the stars and constellations drawn on the ceiling and tells Jim about it on the phone. She also sees the pink stars are falling written on the wall. Upon hearing this, Jim is shocked because his late wife used to repeat the same thing years ago before her death. To investigate further, he brings Linda to his wife's studio and shows her a painting of the black egg and the pink stars falling on top of it. It is clear that Jim and Junior are connected to the dome in a way no one else is. Back at the cement factory, Junior wants to take the egg to the real authority, unaware that his father would destroy it. When the others retaliate, he brings out a gun and threatens them to hand the egg over. Barbie tackles him down, giving the others just enough time to run away. However, as a result, he is arrested yet again. Julia and the others meet in the woods and ask the egg what they should do next. Suddenly, Nori's late mother, Alice, comes to them. She reveals that she is not the real Alice, but has come as a bridge to communicate between them and another group. She tells them that their motto is to protect the egg at any cost, and they will find the reason later on. In the police station, Jim mocks Barbie since the entire town is waiting for his execution. Barbie in turn says that one day the town will be doing the same to him. Meanwhile, Julia and the group go to the diner to hide. They hear Jim talk on the radio, wanting them to hand in the egg in exchange for Barbie's life. After that, Junior visits Jim and inquires if he really killed people like everyone is accusing him of. Jim comes clean and confesses to the murders, but he manipulates Junior to think he did everything for the town and its people. A naive Junior still trusts his father and agrees to side with him if he doesn't lie from now onwards. Julia knows that the entire town will be dead if the egg falls into the wrong hands. Since she is the monarch, she takes the responsibility to keep it safe. She also asks the others to rest for the night in a safer place and goes out with the egg. A while later, everyone in the town gathers to witness the execution. Barbie is set on the gallows with a rope around his neck. At the same time, Julia reaches the lake and gets on a boat before dropping the egg into the water. It creates pink sparks that fly into the sky, creating an illusion of pink stars flying. Everyone in the town sees them, mesmerized by the view. This also stops the execution seconds before Barbie is killed. The pink glowing substance makes a bright light in the sky that covers the entire Chester's mill, making the dome white.